Hello everyone and welcome back to Chronos Plays Lost Odyssey. Today, we're leaving Numara. We're getting a new ship, I guess, again? I was kind of expecting like maybe a flying ship at some point, like the Nautilus. The way you made it sound like, though, we were getting another boat. Which I guess is cool. Can I sit in your throne? Well, that's bullshit. Hi, ladies. The square is a popular place. Good for them. I probably should have talked to more of those people. That's fine, though. Oh, Jesus. The cubic score stuff. Oh, man, you really ruined my palace, kind of. Yeah, I protected the queen for you. What do you guys even do here? Stand around betraying the queen? Clearly. Yeah, music score things. We can go do those. We have a few new ones, right? We got one in the terrace cave. And we got one in the palace, yeah? I'm probably going to cheat in a second. Let's see. Give it a shot. Alright, we got two. How bad is this? Go tell Aunt Rhodey. That is a lot of letters, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'm going to quickly cubic, not feet, music score. Does this tell me what I need to know? Yes. Okay. I am now cheating. EEDCCDDEDC DGFEE Fuck. Good God. That is a lot. It doesn't really matter who we bring, right? It literally, we can bring 4 people. Wait, is that right? Can I bring 5 people for this? Okay, well, we'll shit. E D C I have to start over. Flee. Flee, 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 flee. I have to bring 5. You never let me bring 5 before. But these are 5 letters, so I have to have 5. Unless I'm wrong. Try the song again. Okay, I can have 5 now. Am I stupid? I could only have 4 before, right? That probably wouldn't have worked. Yeah, so again, we had E D C E. Go tell Aunt Rhodey. That's the name of this song? D E D C. All right, so next up is GG F E E. I should really look up the location of that other one that I'm missing. DCDEC. D C D, E, C. And that should be it. Then we have another one. I don't know that song. Alright, give me my stuff. High Wind Amulet. Cool, speaking of airships. Let's see. What does that do? Nullifies wind damage. Oh, really? Well, I just got quad element up, my dude. Which I think I need to teach to... Oh, she doesn't have that yet. What about Ming? Ming's not in the party. Okay. Right. We need to meet Ming somewhere. I'm assuming at the docks. Try to remember. No. You didn't say the letters, Chronos. My bad. You only needed 4 this time, right? So GBAD. D. A B. A. Chronos. And D's nuts. Oh, there's 5 turns? Okay, G-A-B. G-A-B. G. While I'm here, 1 second. Where is number 4? Northern Cape. Glowing item on the ground after taking the right path. Okay. So we're gonna have to go back to the Northern Cape at some point. D-R-G. Oh, rest, right, Jesus. D-R-G-D. Okay, E-A-G. E-A-G. A. Next one should be the last one. Okay, so B, E, B, Beb, E, Bibby. Good stretch, Venus. Yeah, I haven't seen you stretch like that since you were, well, like fucking 6 years younger than this. She's an old kitty. I got her, she was born in my dad's barn with her brother Void and another brother, Richie, I think he ended up being named. He was adopted by a friend of mine. Yeah, they were born in my dad's barn to a feral cat. Unfortunately, the mother was sick, so she wasn't able to be saved. That was in 2009? 2008, 2009? So she's an old kitty. Her brother unfortunately died, not many years ago, but a few years ago. It's the whole reason why I stopped playing what the fuck it was called, Neo. Yeah. Because it happened during a recording session for that, and it was awful. And I didn't like that. What did I just get? Elfin Charm, Magical Boost 2, Electric Boogaloo. Oh, I guess I can learn that. Guess I can learn Windproof as well. I have the quad element stuff going on, right? I just don't have it equipped yet. So I probably should get it equipped. Persistence is really good. You know what? Counter we can get off for now. Where's that quad elemental resist up? Yeah. Hey, don't get me wrong. If I can get, like, elementals fucking nullify, by all means, I'd replace quad element too, but that seems a little bit too strong. Like, substantially strong. Don't get me wrong, though. I'd still fucking equip it in a heartbeat. Oh, hey, it's the guy who found a move for me. Hey, I got a problem here. The monument in front of the palace is collapsed and the bird is trapped in the rubble. I'm gonna fetch some medicine. You go and get the bird out of there. Oh, okay. I didn't hear about a bird being trapped there. Like, I didn't hear it squeaking. It probably means it's dead. How big is this bird, actually? Not to get too depressing. But most things getting crushed by rubble this size actually means death. Bird? You found the injured bird. Okay, pick up bird. Thank you for helping the bird. Hopefully it'll get better with the medicine I bought. Looks like there's something caught in its feathers. What is it? What can this be? Oh, never mind. Here you have it. I need to concentrate. It's ancient statue piece. Cool. You know, hey, free stuff, right? For being a good person. That's why we do it, you know. That's why we do it. Help others and get free shit. I usually prefer money or overpowered items, but, you know, ancient statue pieces, sure. Why not? She at the docks. Don't giggle at me. Oh, apparently I missed the royal thing in... Well, not missed, but I forgot about a royal sale thing in Ura. Apparently it was in front of Gongara's mansion. I actually, yeah, I just don't remember that. So I'll go back there at some point and do that. Oh, what do we got? We got a weird cutscene. Is this a memory? We went a really long time without any memories. Now we're getting them all the fucking time. Again. Khan recalls a memory that was locked deep within his heart. Bird, bird, bird. The bird is the word. It's like, time. Snap out of it. Portresses of the dead? Portresses of the dead. She was always mourning clothes. She always has mourning clothes with her. That way she can begin a portrait as soon as the request comes in. Oh, she makes portraits of the dead. Okay. And so it is today. Having slipped into her mourning dress in the shed on the pier, she boards the downstream ferry. Her hands are full. One holds the case with her painting tools, and the other the garment bag with her mourning dress. She has heard that a rich man lies dying in the town 20 kilometers downstream. Her name is Rosa. It's a race against time, she says with a grim smile. I have to start as soon as possible before the face changes. Changes how? Really, Kime? You have to ask that? Try to say, there's a deepening strain in Rosa's smile. But I know it when I see it, when the person is gone from this side to the other. Once they're gone over, I can't paint them. At least not in the way that will please the family. It just can't be done. Rosa is a professional portraitress of the dead. The custom of preserving death masks is now widely practiced in this area. Families too poor to hire an artist daub the face with the newly deceased with dye and preserve the loved one's deathbed expression on a cloth pressed against the dyed skin. Some families make death masks with plaster. Only the wealthiest families can afford to hire a professional like Rosa, so that lurking in the background of individual's death, there can be a variety of disputes. Okay. I've heard families quarreling over the inheritance behind my back even as I sit there sketching the dead person. One widow presented her portrait of her husband to the court to prove that he had been poisoned. Another time, some loan shark waited until the moment the man died and charged right into the house. One husband tried to spit in his wife's face as soon as she gave up the ghost. Apparently, she had been unfaithful for him for years. Okay. Rosa tells stories with utter detachment. She reveals no emotion at all. She's dead inside. This, she says, is indispensable to becoming the outstanding portraits of the dead. You have to open your sketchbook and get your brushes going with the bereaved family members right there, overcome with grief. There's no way you can produce a good portrait if you become emotional or allow yourself to be swept up in the emotions of other people in the house. Khan responds with a silent nod. His only connection with the woman is to have boarded the same boat and sat at the same table in the cafe on the deck. Man, that was a mistake. Only a few minutes have passed since she started volunteering her story, but that is all it has taken for Khan to receive the hint of nihilism lurking in her beautiful features. The more respectable artists despise painters like me. Why is that? Well, half of them accuse me of making our living from dead people's deaths. The other half look down on us for not being moved by what we do. I see their point. I mean, the emotions are what give rise to all the arts, whether it's painting, sculpture, music, or literature. We don't have emotions like that. We're nothing but craftsmen. Rosa speaks without a hint of either self-mockery or pride. Her tone suggests that she's merely stating the obvious in an obvious way. Kime takes a sip of his rye whiskey, and Rosa drinks from her rose petal tea. The boat makes its leisurely way downstream. The season is spring. The river is high from snowmelt, and white water birds are settled in the surface. Strange, Rosa says with a giggle. When I first saw you, I thought you and I must be members of the same profession, which is why I took the initiative to speak to you. Kime gives her a strained smile. He knows nothing about painting, and it's fairly certain there's nothing about his appearance that would cause him to be mistaken for an artist. It well could be, however, that the profile of this man drinking whiskey alone in the afternoon Rosa has recognized is the hue of nihilism like her own. Or then again, she might have perceived the shadow of the other side clinging fast to Kime's back. Until a few days ago, Kime was on a battlefield. There he witnessed the killing of many enemies and many allies, but he was unmoved by any of it. Such youthfulness had long since vanished from him. Though outwardly unchanged, Kime has lived through several centuries. Rosa says that she's in her mid-30s and in her 10th year since becoming a portraitist of the dead, which apparently puts her near the beginning of her career. If you wouldn't mind, she adds, I have a few more things I'd like to discuss with you. When Kime nods silently in compliance, Rosa thanks him and gives her first heartfelt smile of the day. Portraitors of the dead are never present while the subject is dying. The very fact that such a professional has been called means the person's death is imminent, and so theirs is seen as a presence of ill omen and even defilement. A family member or friend who had been at the bedside dares to broach the subject quietly in another room. Don't you think it may be time to call a painter? Disconnected from eight. Why? Whatever. A family member or friend has been on the bedside. Don't you think it's time to call a painter? And the answer, whether too soon for that or I think you may be right, is delivered in guarded tones. Introduced to the family by the church, the portraitist never enters the house by the front door. Rather, he or she goes through the back and is shown to a room where the sun cannot penetrate. There, the painter changes into mourning clothes and waits for the announcement of the death. Eventually, a quiet knock on the door is followed by a summons to appear, and the painter, dressed in mourning, sets to work. Not all deaths occur at the end of a long life, of course. Not all too often the painter must depict the face of the one who died young or of illness or accident. The face that emerges in the artist's sketchbook radiates the delicate vivacity of one who has just crossed the border dividing life from death, one who is only moments before it transited from this world to the other. I've heard of death maths before, but I don't know where that's practiced. I know like in where I live in America, at least the funerals I've gone to, with open caskets anyways, they're touched up with makeup and stuff like that and stuff. It's you can tell, depending on how bad the reason is of death. But yeah, they don't have like a mask on. At least I don't think I've ever been to one that had a mask on. The work presented to the family is an oil painting done from the sketch, and Rosa believes the sketch itself is far more authentic portrait of the dead. There's nothing quite like the atmosphere in a room where someone has just died. How to put it? It is as though the flow of time has stopped, or time itself has melted into the very air. The sobbing and the wailing sound as if they might last forever. The only movement of time in all this being the way the face of the dead person emerges little by little onto the blank white page of the sketchbook. She hands him a thick sketch pad. See? She says, showing him countless faces of the dead. This is 2 years worth. What are you, me and Phoenix Wright? Just going, you want to see a dead body? Many of the faces are peaceful, but the others are full of agony, and all without exception possess the mysterious presence. They differ unmistakably from the faces in sleep. Neither, however, do they look dead. Differ, not defer. They seem as if they might open their eyes at any moment, or just as easily crumble in the ash. They hover, men and women alike, on the very brink of death. After the body has cooled, it's too late. It's also too late if the family has begun making its preparations for the funeral. The game is won or lost in those very few minutes following the death itself. All we can do is start sketching as efficiently and expeditiously as possible. With a painful smile, Rosa adds, in the eyes of the family, though, that makes me a cold-hearted woman. Doing the job they hired you for. Kime turns the page of her sketchbook, saying nothing. He would like to tell her that it's the same on the battlefield. There, no one has time to mourn the death of a soldier. If you're busy shedding tears instead of doing the next thing you have to do, you end up being one of those forced to travel to the other world. The final sketch in the book is unfinished. The face of a young girl. The general outlines of the hair and face are sketched in, nothing more. Kime looks questioningly at Rosa. My daughter, she says softly, but why? A portrait painter of the dead reaches full maturity in the profession when she is able to paint a member of her own family, which only makes sense. I mean, how self-serving is it if you can only coldly object towards the death of a stranger, but not towards a member of your own family? Her daughter died 2 years ago. The girl's 3 short years of life brought to a sudden end by a bad flu that was making the rounds. I was holding her hand almost until the moment where she died. Rosa says, I was in tears, calling her name, pleading with her to come back to me, not to die. After the doctor looked at her with a shake of his drooping head, though, Rosa released the daughter's hands and opened her sketchbook. Wiping her tears, she picked up her pencil and tried to sketch her daughter's face, but I couldn't do it. The tears came pouring out of me no matter how much I wiped them. I simply couldn't work. Kime turned his gaze to the unfinished sketch again. Some areas of the white paper were wavy, perhaps where Rosa's tears had fallen. I guess I'm not qualified to be a portrait of the dead, she says with a smile, glancing down at the river. But still, if I had to choose one work of art to leave behind, this would be it. The boat gives a blast on its steam horn. Frightened, the birds on the river leap into the air in a great mass. Kime closes the sketchbook and returns it to Rosa. He considers complimenting her on the excellence of the drawing, but chooses silence instead. Such praise, he feels, could be a sign of disrespect for her work, for Rosa herself, and for her dead daughter. I didn't mean to bend your ear like this, she says. I'm sorry. She stands and peers at Kime once more. Really, though, you look like a member of my profession. Kime gives her a strained smile and shakes his head. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that, she responds with a strained smile of her own. And you probably won't like me saying this either, but please call me if you ever need a portrait of the dead. I won't need one, Kime says. I have no family. No family? Well then, when your own time comes. With a little chuckle, Rosa leaves. Her hands grasp the case with her painting supplies. Her left a garment bag with mourning clothes. Unfortunately, Kime will never need her services. More like fortunately. He cannot go to the other world just yet. On the long, long road of life, how many deaths must he encounter? All of them. The steam horn blasts again. The boat gradually lowers its speed and edges towards the riverbank. The landing draws closer. When he leaves the boat, his journey will begin again. It will be a long journey. The next battlefield lies beyond the mountains that tower in the distance. What? Dude, I was having a memory. Why are you yelling at me, douche? Can we get over there yet? It looks like there's a bridge now. Oh shit, I think there is a bridge now. Yo, give me stuff. Well, it's nice to see a customer coming this way. What do you have? Weapons. Platinum brand. It's very expensive. I'll buy it. just for the Princey Poo, because I stole his stuff. I'll buy 20 of these sun crystals, because why not? I'll buy 20 of these king Beast King claws, because why not? What about this replica staff? Sure. Phoenix Tail? Jewel of Wisdom. I'll buy 30 of those because that sounds really cool. Are these like rare things or maybe? Just buy 10 of each, I guess. I haven't really done too much crafting in this game. There we go. Oh, actually, you know what? Go back there. I need hailing tanks. Oh, never mind. Alright. I'm gonna buy some Grandis bombs. See if those work on those silver dicks. Oh, maybe with Sed's fucking thing. Oh my god, did I get another memory? Hey you can't take that, come back here! Haha, make me! Bye, gets me every time. I gotta teach him a lesson one of these days. Cut off his hands! Kime recalls cutting off a child's hands. I should have got a drink before this. Lottery of life. Having kids is like playing the lottery. That was how the police commissioner put it, with a grim smile on his eye. He was the man in charge of domestic security. Sometimes you pick a winner and sometimes you pick a loser. Life is like that. You can't control it. So this is going to be a fun story. Kime responded with a silent nod. Not that he was convinced that you could divide people into winners and losers. But that was how they did it here in this country with the size of the city. He had no choice but to recognize it as a reality because the man who kept the peace here believed it. And this nation was known for having the best public safety of all the countries in the region. Every kid in there is a loser, he spat out, jerking his chin towards the juvenile prison visible from his office window. Built to hold young criminals. This was the largest and most strictly run and most closely guarded prison to be seen in any of the neighboring countries. The treatment of its young inmates was also the harshest. You're a foreigner, Kime, so you may not approve. But we have our own ways of doing things. I see, Kime says. Losers are losers, and there's nothing you can do to make losers into winners. It's never going to happen. Far from it. If you coddle losers, you just turn them into bigger losers and give the decent people a lot of trouble. See what I mean? That's one way of looking at things. Kime deliberate irony was lost on the police commissioner. Nah, that's the only way. If you're gonna have a safe, peaceful country, he declares, you'll expect you to abide by the views too. Kime has nothing more to say. If he were to insist on confronting the police commissioner, he might be seen as questioning the authorities, which could land him in an adult's prison. And this would be easy enough to bring about for the police commissioner, indeed for anyone in the city-state who stood on the side of the power that be. The commissioner glanced again towards the juvenile prison. They built that place 80 years ago. Which is to say, the very first building they made when the present political system came into being was a prison to throw young offenders into. Kime knew this. For Kime, whose life went on forever, events of 80 years ago could have happened yesterday. 80 years earlier, this country had experienced a coup d'etat. The revolutionary government ruled the people under a military dictatorship and jailed every last person suspected of disturbing the peace and order. The government was especially wary of young criminals. There's a limit to how serious a kid's crime can be, but let them get away with those, and the next thing you know, they're doing really bad stuff. They might be satisfied with shoplifting at first, but soon they're into burglary, muggling, and then they start using weapons. In the end, they think nothing in killing people. You have to nip them in the bud. And kids sent to the prison were fed the absolute minimum to keep them alive. No doctor saw them if they fell sick or were injured, subjected to such harsh imprisonment. They succumbed one after another, and more than a few of them ended up as cold corpses pitched out the back door. Whenever one did manage to serve out his term and return to the outside world, he found it impossible to erase the brand of loser. Children with criminal records were soundly rejected by a respectable society. The social system was structured in such a way that nothing worked for them: employment, marriage, even finding a place to live. Expelled by society, these boys and girls turned to crime as a way to stay alive, eventually ending up in adult prison. With a bitter smile, the police commissioner said to Kime, "I'm sure this all sounds terrible to an outsider like you." Kime answered with a slight nod, and it only served to increase the bitterness of the commissioner's smile. "I know what you're thinking," he said, "and to tell the truth, I sometimes think the system's a little too harsh on them too. But you have to realize we're not just punishing bad kids, we're also holding them up as an example to the good ones. What would they think if they saw ex-criminals out on the street again walking along like nothing ever happened? They figure that even if they get their hands dirty and spend a few years in jail, they could go back to just living their own lives. Their society's punishment is no big deal. That they can get away with murder. We wouldn't want our kids to be like that, would we? So the only thing is for us grown-ups to teach them. Look at those guys, we can say. All it takes is one bad deed and your life is over. So you better listen to your parents and teachers to be good." He definitely had a point. Kime was willing to grant him that, but still, the commissioner must have noticed a hint of shadow crossing Kime's face as he shifted his tone of voice. With bureaucratic conviction, he declared, "The authorities have received word that there's going to be a coup. Of course, the military has everything under control, so there's nothing to be worried about. They could suppress it right now if they wanted to. They could easily attack the agitator and capture the ringleader of the plot. In this case, though, they have decided to let it get started in order to smoke out every last one of their reactionary elements." Is this Queen Ming's place? According to the government's intelligence, the uprising was scheduled to occur at that very night. We prepared just about any eventuality, but there's always the possibility of the unexpected. If there were a riot inside the juvenile prison timed to coincide with the rebellion, that could be a real problem. So this is why Kime has been hired as a temporary prison guard, a bodyguard for the state. "We're counting on your skills as a seasoned warrior, which is why we're entrusting you with such a major responsibility. Be sure you live up to your expectations. If you have a resort to violence, we have no problem with that. Whatever you do will be for the sake of law and order. It will be in order to protect the happy lives of the decent citizens of our nation. Carry out your duties in complete dedication of body and soul." The commissioner handed Kime a one-page document. It was literally a license to kill. "Act without the slightest restraint. All the prison guards have one of these. But still, if you hesitate to impose the ultimate punishment on a single loser, then countless winners among the upstanding citizenry must suffer the consequences. You understand, I'm sure. Once a loser, always a loser. Rather than living with such a burden, they themselves might be happy to have you kill them and get it over with." Kime accepted the document from the commissioner without comment. "That completes our contractual agreement. Now assume your post." With a perfectly straight face, the commissioner cautioned Kime, "And just make sure you don't let any foolish compassion get in your way." The season was midwinter, and Kime found no hint of fire burning in the juvenile prison. In their tiny, solitary cells, the young inmates, wrapped in ragged blankets, lie helplessly in the dark. Painful moaning came from one cell, suggesting the inmate might be running a fever. From another came unbroken shrill mean laughter that could only mean the person's mind is snapped. "What you see is what you get," said the veteran guard, guiding Kime on his first round of inspection. "Not one of those faces show any life. So even if something were to happen, these pitiful creatures couldn't do a damn thing. They're losers. All right. They're breathing. That's about it. Is there really no possibility of them being rehabilitated and becoming winners?" The other guard gave Kime a momentary blank stare and said with a laugh, No, not at all. 80 years since the revolution, the change of generation had replaced virtually all the people from that time. Since coming of age as the prison guard, who had no memory of life before the revolution, had been implanted with the idea that people were either winners or losers, and he surely never doubted it. "They went out of their way to hire you, so it might be a little strange for me to say this, but I'm sure the kids in here are never going to riot. No matter how wild things get on the outside, splash a little cold water on them and they quiet right down. There's almost none of them you have to worry about. Almost. Well, I can't claim about that about every single one of them. There are even losers among losers, unfortunately." The guard showed Kime to the end of the hall. There he opened up and locked the door so thick it could be mistaken for a section of wall. "Beyond here is the punishment cells. Fun. This is where we throw the incorrigible losers, the ones who have caused trouble on work details, the ones who take a defiant attitude, the ones who show no signs of remorse for their crimes." Suddenly it was clear to Kime. It was clear to him because he had experienced countless battlefields in his life. The punishment cells were darker and far colder than the regular cells, but from the depths of darkness from within individual cells, they emanated quiet heat that could not be felt in the regular cells. The people here were alive. They were not simply breathing, they were alive with real passion. The crimes that originally got them locked up here were nothing much. A little burglary, some purse snatching, flashing a knife, stuff like that. If they had just quietly served out their terms, they'd be out of here by now, living obscure lives somewhere. Instead, they resisted and kept resisting. They called for better treatment of inmates. They appealed for an end to discrimination against former prisoners. The number of their crimes multiplied until it became clear they would never get out of here alive. They'll go straight from here to the adult prison when they grow up. It'll be 20 or 30 years before they can breathe the outside air again, if they can live that long, which would be quite an accomplishment. The guard concluded with a belly-shaking laugh, which was interrupted by a voice echoing in the dark hall. Stop that laughing. It was quiet but commanding voice, though one that retained a hint of boyishness. A look of fear crossed the guard's face, though he quickly reverted it to a sneer. This is the biggest pain we've got. His name is Darren. They say he was the leader of a gang of juvenile delinquents on the outside, but here's just a noisemaker. Diran? Duran? Probably Duran. The guard picked up the bucket of water from the corridor with a thin sheet of ice on the surface and heaved the contents into Duran's cell. This is what works best for these kids. Behind bars, the drenched boy had rolled himself up into a ball. This should be enough for them to freeze to death, but the water itself freezes again in the early morning. What? This should be enough for them to freeze to death, but the water itself freezes again in the early morning. So then their hair, eyelashes, and all the other hair they got gets coated in ice. Some of them have lost fingers and toes. Maybe it's supposed to say this shouldn't be enough for them to freeze. I don't know. The guard laughed again because he's a fucking psychopath, apparently. Darren lays there, curled up, but his eyes were shining with such intensity. It was as if he was trying to melt ice with the heat seething from his breath. Kaim knew those eyes. Those are the eyes of a warrior. Not just any warrior, but one on the very front line in a losing battle who watches for a chance to turn the battle into his favor. And Kaim knew something else, that the system was beginning to unravel. It had kept the people in the state of suppression for 80 long years, ever since the revolution. But that very moment of its undoing had arrived. The prison fire started that night. Time, it's the coup! The guard came running to report the situation on the outside. Fires had been set throughout the city, he said. This was, of course, the uprising the government's intelligence has anticipated. Martial law was declared, and the government was mobilizing the entire police force and army. Word had come, too, that the ringleader was already under arrest. One element, however, had been wholeheartedly unanticipated. The guard informed him, the wind is strong tonight. Fanned by unseasonable winds, the flames were racing through the city. On order from the commissioner, we are not to fight the fires in the juvenile prison. Is that clear? Do not engage in firefighting. In other words, no one would be coming to save the inmates. Can't be helped, said the guard. The army and the fire department have all they have to do to put the fires out in the city and evacuate the people. They can't spare any men to protect this place, and we've been ordered to join the rescue efforts in town. I guess that means we let the kids out. That was a given, Kaim assumed. Left locked up in the cells, the young mates would burn to death. Don't be ridiculous. The guards shot back. These kids are all losers. We've gone to the trouble to lock them in here, and now we're supposed to let them out? Are you serious? Kaim replied. Are you serious? I can't believe you'd say anything so stupid. I'm telling you, they're losers. We don't have time to save them. We certainly are not going to let them run loose. The commissioner would never allow such a thing. He obviously meant every word he was saying. They were planning to let them die. The flames were spreading quickly, and screams could be heard throughout the prison. There was no time to appeal directly to the commissioner, and such an appeal would only end in failure, he was sure. Give me the cell keys, Kaim said. You're joking, the guard laughed. There was only one thing to do. Without a word, Kaim landed a punch in the guard's solar plexus. The guard went down in a heap and tore the clump of keys from his belt. The first cell he opened was Darren's. The boy who came out confused. Are you one of us? He asked Kaim. Are you with the coup? Not interested, he said. So why are you letting us go? Because I don't like dividing people into winners and losers. Also, leaving a bunch of locked-in people who I'm assuming hasn't really murdered anyone. I think these are all like petty crimes they were saying, right? Stealing, maybe threatening, but they haven't actually killed anyone, yeah? So, look, I have my limits on when it comes to like dealing with assholes myself. Thanks, Darren said. Sporting a big grin, he took the keys from Kaim and turned away to start opening the other cells. I want you to come back, Kaim said to him from behind. What's that? And this is emergency evacuation. When the sun comes up and the fire's out, I want you back here. You kids still haven't finished paying for your crimes. You must be kidding. Not at all, Kaim says. If your kids run away, they'll just prove they're right. Once a loser, always a loser. To be fair, this is a torture prison, not like an actual rehabilitation prison, right? So, I had to just fucking leave. Is that alright with you? Don't you want to show the ones who rule the country they're wrong, that people can change? But they'll never get another chance like this. The school's going to fail. You can run around all you want. They're going to catch you in the end. You'll always be branded losers. They might even try to kill you when they catch you. Darren turned to stare at Kime. The prison was already surrounded by flames. Against the bright red backdrop, Kime's eyes were burned with the fighting spirit of a warrior. This country's political system can't last much longer. The day will come when you kids can leave prison with your head held high. I absolutely believe that, and because I believe it, I don't want you to see you die for nothing. Kime turned to Darren to pull the guard up his feet. Come back after sunrise. With the final motion to Darren, Kime hoisted the guard into his back and trudged away. I'm assuming they're just going to murder them. The events occurred 50 years ago. Inner freedom pervades the country now when Kime visits 50 years later. Sure, he does catch glimpses of young toughs and juvenile delinquents where the nightlife thrives, but he feels this is just a sign of free and easy times. An old man calls out to him, "Are you a traveler?" When Kime nods, the man says with a smile, "You're in luck. We're having a celebration of Revolution Square today. Or in Revolution Square today. I hear the grand old man of Revolution is going to attend, and it'll keep going all night." Celebration? That's right. I see you're too young to know what happened here in the old days. We had a coup 50 years ago on this very day. The coup itself was put down in one night, but the rebel troops set fire all through the city, so the rest of us were running around like crazy in all directions. Fanned by the winds, the flames quickly enveloped the whole city, and a lot of the city people were stranded in this sandbar downwind. I was one of them. I had my pregnant wife and baby with me, so I couldn't just dive into the river to escape. Before I knew it, sparks rained down on the sandbar, and I figured we were done for. We'd all burned to death as soon as the dry grass got fired. Just as he was giving up hope, he says, a helping hand was extended to them from the most unlikely source. The kids from the juvenile prison came to help us. They were all skin and bone, and their prison uniforms were falling apart. The prison staff hardly fed them a thing, but they pulled what little strength they had. They saved old folks and children from the sandbar, and they struggled to douse the fires that caught in the dry grass. One boy carried a child across the river, and collapsed and died in the second after he reached the shore. And some of the ones who were fighting grass fires were overcome by smoke and burned to death. They risked their lives to save us. Their own lives were not worth saving, but those losers risked their lives to save the lives of winners like us. When the sun came up, they could be sure that the fires were out safely. Young inmates went back to the juvenile prison. Yeah, it's true. The place was an absolute hell for them. But they went back inside just the same. Not one of them took advantage of the confusion to run away. They played it strictly by the rules, wouldn't you say? We were really moved by their behavior, and people started saying that maybe these losers had their good points after all. Maybe once a loser, always a loser was wrong. The whispers spread throughout the country, quietly and surely. Soon the view emerged that the treatment of juvenile inmates could be improved. Another increasingly widely held view was that the society ought to welcome ex-inmates more welcomely once they had paid their crime. Finally, the change of attitude towards loser children took the shape of dissatisfaction with the political system that had continued to foster such a dictatorship, and 40 years ago, a second coup occurred. The next coup took the shape of citizens' revolution that involved the masses, and for that reason it succeeded. That's how the former government we have today got its start. Listening to the old man's reminisce, Kime finds himself smiling and nodding again and again, deeply moved. The last thing the old man tells him is the name of the hero who led the revolution and became the first president of the new government, Darren. Tens of thousands of people gathered in Revolution Square. Fireworks are sent aloft, and brass band plays the rousing national anthem. The grand old man of the revolution takes a stand and thunderous cheers and applause. Darren, our Darren. Advanced in years now, having long since removed himself from the center of politics, Darren still has that youthful fire gleam in his eye. There's no way for him to spot Kime among the assembled throng, and even if he were to notice him, he could never imagine that this young man, unchanged by 50 years ago, was the temporary prison guard on that fateful night. Still, the old hero proclaims, "People can change. There are no winners, there are losers." His words are greeted with cheers and fireworks, and the excitement of celebration reaches its peak. Kime makes his way to the stand at the far end of the square and buys himself a cup of liquor. He raises his cup to the hero of the revolution, whom, from the distant vantage point, appears to him no longer than a speck. He downs the drink in a single breath, because we have a problem. When the intensely strong liquor has passed his throat, it leaves a sweet and mellow aftertaste. The end. I really should have brought a drink. What was that? Was it... Do that again. Please? There's like a weird outline on him. Whatever. Hey, thief! Give me your hand! With Chronos, the story, yeah! He can be a winner with one hand. That's completely fine. He can be a thief with one hand, too. Until the second time you get caught. Alright, where are we going? Man, there was a lot of memories today. Oh, I guess that's it for this episode. We barely made it out of Numara. But yeah, alright, cool. I guess we'll look around for Ming next time. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.